Good evening. Welcome to the Steel City Huddle podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman, joined as always by my partner, Zach Franciscus. Zach, I don't even know what to say. I'm so frustrated. I know you have to be too. The Steelers wound up, we felt like they were going to bounce back from, the loss in week 7, going to be like a real bounce back this week. We were all excited, but they shit the bed against the Green Bay Packers and lost 35-25. The narrative, the NFL narrative of the student taking over for the master, whatever that they really wanted with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers, man, they got all that to happen. So how are you feeling now that you've had a couple of days to digest this and recover?
I'm grateful that we don't do immediate reactions.
Right?
And why I pretty much say go off of Twitter, off of things. If I haven't thought long and hard about something and written it in another app and then transferred it into, because goodness, some of the knee-jerk reactions happening. I know we'll talk about a lot of those later on, but I'm hoping that this isn't who we are. That's where I am. A lot of people have simply said, this is who we are. We're going to throw our hands up in the air. I don't know what changes have to be made. Don't know if it's personnel or coaching. It's why I'm not in front offices, as on many podcasts we've agreed to, to agree on. But I'm finding it hard not to be disheartened. That's a good word. It's disheartening.
I think that's super fair. And I didn't feel so disheartened. I feel frustrated, what the hell with the defense. It's just crazy to me. But the thing that, really got me today was that comment from Cam Hayward, where he made that comment and said, there's not a lot of fight in us right now. And man, look, I didn't listen to his interview. I meant to. We had a crazy night here. So I'm hoping that that's being somewhat just posted and and the context is that they weren't fighting as hard as they should have been. Not that their fight doesn't exist, it just wasn't present is what I'm hoping for, because man, it's going to be we're only halfway through the season. It's going to be a long rest of the season if our highly paid defense has no fight in them and doesn't plan to find it anytime soon. That's a scary thing, because we'll break the game down a little bit, but there was a lot of good that happened on the offensive side of the ball again, and even some stuff on the defensive side of the ball. But some of the boneheaded mistakes and errors and things that went on and that just give up that it felt like was there was really frustrating. And you're right, the knee-jerk reaction is hard to deal with, because this fan base isn't happy when we win. When we win, they're still like, this isn't good enough and Tomlin should be fired and whatever else. So you're right. It's frustrating. Relic says the season only gets harder. And he's right. It just does. Your best chance to catch teams unaware are those first couple of weeks when they're still trying to figure things out for themselves. And so, this is frustrating.
Yeah. I whenever I watch a lot of NFL games, I always try to pick out, are these teams on the same tier? And if so, it's going to be a great game. But if there's a definite feel that one team is on a higher tier than another team, it's a frustrating game to watch. And for a little while, I've felt when the Steelers go into games like this, where we play teams that a lot of national media tend to watch, at some point in the game, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, we're not in the tier that we're supposed to be right now. We're not playing like it. And for that second half, it looked like the Green Bay Packers were several tiers above where we were supposed to be. Yeah. And that was the frustrating part, because I don't feel like we are that low on the totem pole when it comes to the NFL, and we played like it. We did the classic, what we hate to say is we played down despite having an opponent to play up to.
You're exactly right. That's the right way to phrase it. You're exactly right. That is what it felt like. It did feel like on defense, especially, we played down. It was extremely hard to watch. So we'll break down some of the offense and the defense like we did last week before we talk about next week's game a little bit. But I know that Relic, who usually joins in the comments section, asked if he could come and chat with us for a minute tonight about the game. And so we wanted to give him a few minutes. So let's bring Relic and we won't keep him sitting in the green room all night. There he is.
Hey guys.
Hey, whether you know him as author, whether you know him as that guy on Twitter, or hey, look, it's the only person in our chat. It's Relic.
Hey, so yeah.
Went away.
Rant away. Oh, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, a big question that I have is a lot
Sure.
of people immediately jump to, oh, this is a coaching thing. If we just get rid of A, if we just get rid of B, all the problems will be solved. Is this a coaching thing or is it a personnel thing when you look at it?
In my opinion, there's multiple problems. You're not going to fix this by just throwing a coach in or out. We're not the Eagles. We can't just plug and play a coach and we'll be all right, or a player and we'll be all right. I think it all boils down to a philosophy in the Steelers where we're old and we're okay with that. And as I was talking to my
do you mean
wife,
old as far as the scheme, or do you as far as the age of the players, or
everything?
Both? Oh,
Our
the whole
defense,
thing.
everything. We're just old. We're playing like it's 1980 and whatever. I mean,
is that why you think that like Cam would make a comment about like they just don't have fight in them right now? Yeah. Is that what you think it is? Like,
yeah. Look, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, and whoever else they were mentioning the other day. I can't even think of their names. I don't even care to think of their names because each one of them did nothing until the very end of the game. We paid TJ Watt $41 million. Where you been? I can tell you where I've been because I got chastised on Twitter for this. TJ Watt is not being TJ Watt because the secondary is not doing their job. The secondary can't defend shit. So let's blame TJ Watt for not getting points when the guy can't even get to the quarterback in 2 seconds because the ball's already out. So
the secondary was so bad in that game. It was hard to imagine. Like at some point, I felt like if you just pulled random guys out of the crowd and threw them in, they might have better success than what we were seeing from that group that night.
Bring back the open tryouts because I was a huge fan of Darius Slay. Or I think that's his first name, Slay.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of Slay. Huge fan. In 2020, before he got traded, I was like, I hope the Steelers go and like make a move because he would fit on our team. Back before he got the contract from the Eagles, I hope the Steelers go and get him. Well, we finally got him, and it's so exciting. And I'm sorry. Every time you touch the field, it's my back hurts. My quad hurts. Everything hurts. Well, if you're in so much pain and you can't play the game, then get off the team, retire, because you're giving zero effort. Look at the touchdown pass in, I believe it was in the second quarter.
Oh my God, it was the laziest thing I've ever seen.
No effort. Like, what, you won your Super Bowl and you're getting paid, so you're done? You just don't want to play anymore?
This is what's always hard for me, right? And so, like, look, obviously we're sitting here as fans watching it, right? We don't have insider perspective of knowledge or whatever is being said behind the scenes. So I preface it to say that first, that obviously we don't know exactly what's going on there. But what's crazy to me is that when you watch a player like that who like whiffed on tackles, lazy, look like little to no effort, do you know what I mean? And it's kind of progressively snowballing, it feels like. Do you know what I mean? It felt like we saw some bright spots from him, some good things from him. Then it feels like it's not. So then I have to ask myself, so is he hurt? Do you know what I mean? Is he hurt and that's impacting him? But if that's the case, then why haven't the coaches pulled him out, right? Or is he really not putting forth effort, in which case why haven't the coaches pulled him out, right? Like that's what I always ask myself. So if this is like it looks like an effort thing to us, and I understand there's times where effort may be down in a game, and as a coach you know that player can bounce back and perform better and you can motivate him. But if you're not seeing that, like, why?
There's a lot of things that I haven't been seeing from the Steelers, and this has been going on for years. One of the main issues I think that we lost the game, and I know I bring this up in chat and we talk about it, we joke about it, but what are we doing not playing Nick Herbig?
Yep.
Like 20, I think he had 27% of snaps.
He played 24 snaps total.
What are we?
That was it.
So, like, you're going to tell me that the dude has the only guy on our team that has more pressures, sacks, QB hits than TJ Watt and Cam Hayward put together, we're not going to play him? Look, Alex Highsmith, I've been critical about, but that's a total different story. Alex Highsmith does what he's supposed to do. He may not live up to the contract that people says, but he's still a decent player, and he's not always hurt. Look at his game time. He almost hardly misses games unless it's serious. But like, if Alex Highsmith isn't getting to the quarterback like you expect him to in a game, do something else. Put Nick Herbig next to him. Move TJ Watt to the other side. Move Alex Highsmith to the other side. Take Cam Hayward out and put Nick Herbig in for a play. What are we doing? Leaving these people in, not doing anything. TJ Watt is 31 years old. Look what the Packers were doing with Micah Parsons. Every time on third down that we were going for a pass, they'd switch him up and they move him into coverage.
Yep.
Why aren't we doing anything like that? Why is it always TJ Watt on the left, Alex Highsmith on the right? Oh, what did the Packers say after the game? Well, we knew what they were going to do. What did the Browns say in 2021? Well, we knew what they were going to do. What did the Bengals say in 2023 and 2024? We knew what they were going to do. Gee, why is it everybody else except for the Steelers coaching staff knows what we're going to do? It's asinine. I don't understand. Like, as a fan, you want them to get better and you want to watch the game and invest, but also at some point, enough is enough. Like, Tomlin isn't going to get fired. Okay, let's deal with that. So people call for Terrell Austin's head. He's not going to go anywhere.
Yep.
So, like, okay, what everybody's talking about it. Slay isn't putting in effort. Something's wrong with the defense. Look what happened last week against the Bengals. Well, Jamar Chase put up whatever against us and no answer. You'd think we'd have an answer for Tucker Kraft. Did the exact same thing that Jamar Chase did. So when we face the Browns this week, what is whoever the hell, I don't even care about the Browns. Is anybody on there?
Colts this week, right?
Colts. Browns are in 2 weeks. Colts.
Yeah. And the Colts are good. I mean, that's a scary, that's a game I already had marked as like a challenge.
Yes.
And then you can't even beat teams that you should beat. I expected fully for them to adjust. Like, whatever went wrong in week 7, like, we're going to adjust and fix that, and we'll come back and look different in week 8. Just to see them look apathetic the way they did was frustrating. Nathan agrees. He said, my problem is the defense seems checked at times and gets out physical. Nobody wants to tackle and hit. It's sad.
Yep.
I mean, we're old. We're slow. It seems like there's only like a few people on defense that are trying.
But what's crazy to me is that some of the older players on our defense are some of the ones that are putting in the most effort and energy. And, like, at times, like, it's Cam Hayward having these great games. Do you know what I mean? And some of the younger guys like Joey Porter Jr. and those guys that you would expect to really have their shit together, like, don't.
Yeah.
Joey Porter needs gone. Bye. See you later. You can't stop the penalties. You can't stop the penalties. You said in the offseason that you had this great training with some vets and that you were done with the penalties. Every time you touch the ball, you're given a penalty. You're holding. What was it? There was a play that Joey Porter Jr. got a flag. He got a holding penalty, but it didn't matter because it was denied because they got like 30 yards on us. Okay, well, if they didn't get the touchdown, guess what? They'd be on the 1 yard line because Joey Porter Jr. can't stop holding.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I don't know, to me, it doesn't seem to be getting all that much better over now. It's been years. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't seem to be improving all that much. And it's frustrating because then at other times, like he came out in this game to me and like initially he looked pretty good. He had that big pass breakup. Do you know what I mean? And like initially he looked pretty good, but then it just like all fell apart. Like it's like he can't maintain it. And I don't know if like how much is he impacted by the rest of the secondary playing poorly, right? You know what I mean? Like, is that throwing him off? Like Darius Slay's not playing well, so then it's impacting Porter, like, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Elliott going down was the end.
But
Elliott,
to me, like mental error after mental error after mental error, and you're talking about a player that's supposed to be like more pro ready than your average young player because he grew up in the system and he grew up with the team and his dad and all of these things, but he's not mentally there. He's like he's checked out. It's like mistake after mistake.
you can see it on his face too, because he's so confident when he goes in these games. And then once he gets those holding calls, he stares at the ref like, I didn't do anything. And it's like, bro, your hand is in the dude's face. And I mean,
you're so not subtle with white gloves and white jerseys.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to call it.
They still saw you. Like, come on, man.
He has a reputation now for it, and the refs are looking for it.
I think that's very true.
And before I go, everybody is talking about how the Steelers need to go out and get a wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers is second in the NFL in touchdown passes. What do we need another wide receiver for?
I don't know.
We need O-line. We need secondary.
Cornerback.
Well, they did go get that what's his name?
Marquise Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah, was with Rodgers in Green Bay.
That's the Aaron Rodgers reunion we've been waiting for since Aaron Rodgers joined the team. Right. So something was going to happen.
He has his drop issues, but he ain't. I don't think he's going to impact anymore.
It's Mike Williams. Mike Williams level. It's like, oh, we did a thing.
The Steelers love Calvin. The Steelers love Calvin. We're throwing what's his face, Roman in there more.
Yeah. And weirdly,
it's not going to impact nothing.
Defensively, we have the right players for a system of defense. The problem is the way we're playing everyone is so out of what, like Jalen Ramsey should not be relied on, or Darius Slay for man coverage. They simply can't. And if you do have a safety on top at all times, and instead Mike Tomlin looks at these guys, they're my guys. These are my guys. I love these players. They're dogs and all that. I get that you see them as that, but what they are is aging players who need a little bit more help in order to get the most out of them. And we're not doing that. And Terrell Austin, to put it nicely, he's over his head. It's kind of like when a guy sells a house and you're like, wonderful, here's 100 more to sell. I think he's over his head and has too much to move around, too many chess pieces. And I don't think he can operate on that NFL level mid-season like he's being asked to, because his original plan didn't work.
Any team after two major, I mean, we lost 2 games in a row. We're allowing almost, in those 2 games combined, over 700 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
Any team in the NFL, in college, in high school, in Little League would make an adjustment at coaching at this point.
Well,
it's obviously not working. Granted, we've had people go down with injuries, and that's totally, nothing. But the run game, we can't stop the run. When we stop the run, we can't stop the pass. It's for the first time in, I think, 3 or 4 years, our offense is competent, but our defense isn't. So why are we paying almost $200 million for this?
Yeah.
Well, it's Yeah. The simple answer is and I saw it. I forget who it was. It was either Trey Essex or another former Steelers that put it that it's a coaching arrogance, where if a team offensively against us finds one thing that works, we're not going to adjust our game plan simply to stop that. Like Kraft, the Kraft thing. I guarantee they didn't go into the game saying Kraft's going to beat them. He's going to be the knife that's going to carve them up. And the second it started working and we didn't adjust, they were like, could we just keep going back? they're going to stop at some point. They have to cover him at some point, right? And no, 20 consecutive completions.
I do think that the Steelers will overcome this season. I do think this is just a rough bump, but let me be as crystal clear as possible. If we continue down this road, we will make the playoffs, and we will be a first-round laughing stock to the point of Kenny Pickett. Because
that's a far out drop.
No, you can't. Kenny Pickett, this defense is Kenny Pickett right now. They're not doing nothing.
Well, speaking of that, Adam Crowley posted on Twitter today that Mike Tomlin's defense has been worse than Matt Canada's offense was in 2023. Offense ranking in 2023, total yards 25th, Tomlin's defense 30th, points per game 28th, Tomlin's 22nd, passing yards 25th, Tomlin's 32nd, rushing yards 13th, Tomlin's 18th.
We're moving away from what's working, and it's so annoying. I don't even care how cool. In 3 game span, let games put up 2,000 yards on us. Just stop the stop the score.
Now, Relic, before you go, Relic, I am curious of one thing. Just to I like to end all of this. If there was anything, even a small thing, but it doesn't have to be about the game. It can be about the whole season. What is a positive about the 2025 Steelers right now for you? It can be as small as you want or as inconsequential to the point where their uniforms look really clean at the beginning of games. If that's it, that's fine. I'm looking for anything at all. Is there something you can pick out?
Positive?
Yes.
I think I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna put money down on this. I think the positive is Aaron Rodgers still has it. It's very clear.
Yeah.
I think the way the end of this season goes dictates that we're gonna have Aaron next year. If he loses, he had a interview with the Steelers, and they asked him about his ending of his career, and he said he wants to go back to Green Bay. I think at the end of this season, the positive is Aaron's going to realize that he could still sling that freaking ball like it's nothing. And I think he's going to re-sign because he ain't going to want to end on another losing streak. Even if we don't make let's say he does sign next year, we don't make the Super Bowl, whatever. But he's not going to end on a playoff loss.
A sour note.
No. That's a good point.
And him and Mike Tomlin are so close. He's going to re-sign. You can feel it. It's
That's
there.
A good positive.
We talked about this a little bit last week because I actually think it would be a really good thing, whether it's to work with Will Howard or if we draft a quarterback to work with that quarterback. I actually think to have Rodgers back for another year would be really beneficial. Now we're week 8, so can his health hold out for the rest of this season? Do you know what I mean? How can he stay healthy? But with the offensive line continuing to improve, I mean, the offense looks to me fairly solid. I mean, they're putting points on the board like we haven't seen.
I mean, Micah Parsons beat us like we stole something, but that's just Micah Parsons. It didn't matter who you put up against Micah
But
Parsons.
you still put up 25 points. And look, that's I'm not saying that's great, right? But in previous years, we'd have put up like 6. So, to me, I thought that veteran, having him there, the offensive line improving, I think Arthur Smith is improving. I think all of that is better and better each week. And so I think that shows, it's frustrating because you don't feel that way when you lose a game like that. Everything just, to me at least, I won't speak for other people, everything just sucks, right?
It's hard to look at the positives when you lose that bad.
You're right. It is.
Because in the first half we were bright.
Yeah.
And then the second half it was like, holy smokes, we suck. But looking forward to the Colts game.
Yeah.
You better stop that run.
Yeah.
I don't even care if we win. Do not
Just stop the run.
Do not let that 100-yard game. Do not.
Yeah.
That'll be a positive. If we lose, but we stop the run, there's hope. if we suck and we put up another third string sting, I think we're going to have to reevaluate some things. But those reevaluations won't come. Nothing will change. Embrace the suck. We're in this together. Thanks for having me on.
There you go.
Agreed.
I like that.
Thanks, Relic. So before we move on, Nathan has a question for us. He said, Chris Muller of 93.7 The Fan said today that Art Rooney has done a terrible job as an owner. What do you guys think? What do you think, Matt? Has he done a terrible job as an owner?
I think he has pretty much done what there's been many times when he's been much more tone deaf than I think even he realizes, which whenever someone at that level of, and it is a business, so, at that level of business has the reaction, I always think, oh, the people surrounding you don't like telling you the truth. And then the report cards and all that. So I don't know if I would say terrible, but he has done a subpar job for sure. But I got to say this, there would be a lot more people who would be much more unhappy if we were in the business a lot of other teams are, where every 3 years or every 2 years we're firing your coach and entire programs are wiped out. That's exhausting for a fan base. My brother, the Houston Texan fan, knows exactly what that is like. So we are quite blessed when it comes to that. So
I've shared that with you. I spent a lot of years living outside of DC, and so, surrounded by Redskins, then Commanders fans, and listened and saw and watched what went on with, the transition from Jack Kemp Cook's family to Daniel Snyder and that ownership team and how bad it was. Watch them fire coach after coach after coach after coach, bring in quarterbacks, you play them for 2 weeks and then you bench them and you put somebody else in and then you bench that person. I mean, it's like a nightmare. So look, on the spectrum of shitty coaches, I don't think Rooney is at Dan Snyder level crappy, right? I don't think he's Jerry Jones, where he's like some jackass who micromanages everything and, runs things and makes a decision without consulting with his coaches. I think what happens for Rooney, the way I see it, is that he's not his dad. And I think that for fans that have been around for a long time that remember the Chief, I think those were really huge shoes to fill. And he was something unique and special. He had a real gift. And look, football was different back then. I don't know if you've read some of these stories, if the people watching the show have read them, but the Chief used to have players to his house for dinner. He would go visit guys in the hospital. He just did things. It was a different era. You know what I mean? For football. Football was not what it is now. And he was a different kind of person. And so I think if you're always going to hold somebody up to the level that's set by somebody else, that's always going to be unfair. It was sort of like the people that were huge Bill Cowher fans. Mike Tomlin could never live up to Bill Cowher in their eyes, right? People that were huge, trying to think of another example, but when you think of that, they're huge fans of something, then you have a hard time that next person never meets your expectations. So I think that's part of it. I also think that he's just not as charismatic. I don't think he's as business savvy as his dad was. And so, I don't think he's done a terrible job, but I don't think he's done the job his father did. And I think that's hard for people. His son will take over here at some point, and it will be interesting to see. He seems to be different, more like his grandfather, at least, from what you can see from the outside. So it'll be interesting to see what changes when he takes over. But I actually think that transition happening will help the fan base kind of calm down a little bit, get a little bit more removed from it. So it was a good question.
I agree.
Relic says Rooney can't be terrible. Terrible be with signing Deshaun Watson, then having to pay 8 quarterbacks on the roster like the Browns. That's exactly what I'm saying, right? So it's fair to be frustrated. I'm not going to ever rag on a fan for being frustrated about the way things are going. What's going on is frustrating. You know what I mean? But I appreciate the Steelers' loyalty. The nice thing about Rooney too is if it's not working, he gives it time, not just fire and coach a year like the Jets, etc. Right, and that's what I'm saying, because you'll never improve, you'll never get better, you'll stay in mediocrity until you happen to get lucky, and find the right coach. And otherwise, you're Washington and you're chasing a Super Bowl since 1991 or whatever it was the last time they won one.
Yeah, right, honey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about this game. And the defense was obviously so bad. But I'm going to ask you what I asked you last week too. What good things did you see? Did you see anything good in that game?
Yeah, there was. Peyton Wilson played like his hair was on fire.
Yeah.
And there was a couple times where I was worried about over pursuit. But he is so fast, he can correct an over pursuit. And I don't think people understand how incredibly difficult that ruined Devin Bush's career. An inability to correct an over pursuit. Jarvis Jones. Yeah. Also, the inability to correct. So I was really impressed by that. I wanted to be more impressed by Herbig, but I didn't get to see him as much. But this offense again impressed on multiple levels. We'll talk about it later. I wish we didn't have to settle for field goals to the extent we do.
Yeah.
But the amount of times during that game, I was so grateful that we have Boswell, because I don't know if it's a rule for announcers or something this year, but I watched Red Zone a lot of other games. Every time a kicker comes up, it's like they have to in their contract say, it's an easier year for kickers. Everyone's kicking further, and then people are miss kicks, and then Boz just walks up, he kicks it, doesn't matter. That's something I never want to take for granted. So I always remind myself every time he makes a kick, no matter how easy he makes it look, that is something special. So Boswell, I will take that. I will take it away. And a little more Roman Wilson. Good Lord.
We got Relic in here with breaking news. The Steelers made a trade for Kyle Duggar.
Oh, shit.
Steelers get Duggar and a 2026 7th, and the Pats get a 6th-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I forget if he's a safety or quarterback.
He is a safety.
Okay. That's the kind of move then.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. It's not like DK Metcalf level, but it's definitely bigger than Marquise Valdes-Scantling. And it's defensive. I've been saying, they got a little off the mark, so they didn't hit the bullseye, a little on the outer ring. I wanted a cornerback, but they picked that. Yeah. But it's still, I don't know enough about him since it literally just happened. But I'm hoping that he has the ability to play multiple positions, kind of like a Jalen Ramsey thing.
They must
and Nathan Skinner called it. Look at that.
I wrote this earlier, and I hadn't gotten to it yet, that we should be more active at the trade deadline. We don't just need a wide receiver 2 option. I don't think we need a wide receiver at all. We should get a corner. How about a safety? So maybe they heard you and at least focused a little bit on the defense, which is good.
And from what I'm reading about it so far, that is actually his hybrid ability is a big and Mike Tomlin loves him a hybrid safety.
I was going to say that's his favorite kind of thing, so that doesn't surprise me at all that he would be somebody who would.
Apparently the cheap trade capital, which is why we only had to send a 6th, is he has a larger than expected contract and he's signed through 2027, and we took that on. So that's a part of. So we had money to burn, and we actually decided to spend it.
That's interesting.
Not mad at that at all. So this is at least before it was something has to change here, and it was either Matt Canada on the sidelines or pads. This I like when they say something has to change. Actually, they didn't say anything had to change. They just said that they have to get a little better, and then they did something about it.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into it more and more, but I'm very happy about that. Yeah. I am genuinely happy about that. I'm hoping we're not done yet either.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because speaking of the secondary, anything to make me forget that, because the only time I've ever damaged property during a Steelers game out of anger is the Denver Broncos playoff loss.
Yeah.
I dented the front of our dryer on the balcony outside. I felt shades of that yesterday at the game. It was throw it up, and our guys like would lose it in the sun and having the. And I didn't appreciate being reminded of that trauma. I didn't need to be brought back there mentally. There's some real self-awareness in that move by the Steelers.
Yeah.
That I really, really, and that's another proof of the Omar Khan-ness of this, because that's not a move, or if we made it, that would be the move of the offseason, and it's all anybody would ever talk about.
We haven't mentioned it yet, but I mean, it does make sense given that Deshaun Elliott is injured and is going to be out for the rest of the season. So, I mean, it does make some sense, but I will say that in the past, the Steelers would have been like, oh, well, I guess we just, somebody else will fill in for
next
him.
Man up.
String guy, next man up, 2 dogs, 1 bone or whatever. Wouldn't have really worried so much about going to get somebody else. So the fact that there was an effort made to go get another player of some quality to put in there, rather than just going to depth pieces, I think is huge, because sometimes to me, those things, somebody gets hurt and, look, sometimes they get hurt and there's nothing you can do because the trade window is closed or whatever. We've had it happen before where it hasn't and you don't do anything. And then it almost feels a little like giving up or something. So I want to talk a little bit about this tweet, and I meant to put it on a slide and get it up, but I didn't get to it. So I'm going to read it to you from Chris Carter. You sent it to me earlier today.
Yeah.
The biggest myth around the Steelers is that Mike Tomlin calls the defense. He says what style he wants, but his defensive coordinator calls the plays and puts together specific designs. Stop believing people that don't know what they're talking about. And that was on the back of a Nick Farabaugh tweet, which said, I cannot say this any more bluntly. Terrell Austin is the Steelers' defensive play caller. Look, I'm going to openly admit that as recently as last week, I said I think Mike Tomlin has his hands in that defense too much.
Yep.
And so, look, if Chris Carter, Nick Farabaugh, those guys are saying that's not true, I solidly believe that.
Exactly. And actually, here, this is a little. I trust both of them, and the thing is, they're closer to it than I am.
Right.
So my opinion should not suddenly say that simply because what I've genuinely believed, just like you, Mike Tomlin is either calling the plays or designing it, like he is defense and all that. But I don't mind that. But I'm also curious about something. Considering the amount of news pundits and reporters and all that stuff, is there a specific Pittsburgh reporter or Pittsburgh outlet that is the end all for you, where if they put something out or say it, you will believe that? I'm just curious if there is that person left. Yeah, it's hard to imagine, because I have to have like 3 or 4 sources confirm it, regardless of who they are within the Pittsburgh universe, for me to say yes. Is there one person for you?
I know Chris Carter,
Oh, yeah.
So I really like Chris. And so if he's very honest, he's very knowledgeable. Do you know what I mean? He's incredibly intelligent. So if Chris says something, I tend to usually believe it. But, I usually, what's that old saying about like, asking 3 people or whatever before before you believe something. So unlike some relatives of mine that see something on TikTok or Facebook and then assume that it's true, I usually go to 3 or 4 sources and try to see what they say, right? So to see like Chris Carter retweet and confirm something that was coming from Nick Farabaugh, to me, gives it some validity. Same with like Ray Fittipaldo. Like, I think he's another one that is, very knowledgeable about what's going on. I love Jerry Dulac. I think like there is probably no reporter in Pittsburgh that has their hands, except for maybe Bob Labriola, but he works for the Steelers more, so he has to be more company line with what he says. But Dulac really has his hands in what's going on with the team. But I think sometimes he likes to stir the pot, or I'm not sure. I think sometimes he puts his own spin on things or his own opinion on things. And then you find out later that that wasn't necessarily true. So sort of like, not as extreme as what's his face, the one I can't stand. Who's
Madden?
No, what's Andrew?
Filipponi.
Filipponi.
I tweeted out there, and this is the extent of my knee-jerk reaction that happened during the game. I think I tweeted something out about future generations will call ponying something to mean a waste of journalistic space.
I love that. Put that right into the dictionary. Nathan added that the Steelers worked out Eddie Jackson and Von Bell today, and they must have thought Duggar was the better option. So, hey, look, I approve of the proactiveness for this. But what I wanted to ask you is, so if let's say we're going to take it at face value that Tomlin is not the one making all the defensive play calls, right? Like that's really coming from Terrell Austin. How do we fix what's gone wrong with his defense these past 2 days to go forward? Because my answer the past couple of weeks has been Tomlin needs to get the fuck out of there and stop meddling with things and just let his coaches coach. But apparently that's not the problem.
At least from my perspective, it seems like a really easy answer. And in my head, I'm like, it can't be that easy. It's just adjust. It's be willing to adjust. Anybody. I mean, no team who claimed at the beginning of the season that they were going to have a historic defense should, in consecutive games, allow 2 different passing records to be made against them. Yeah. Jamar Chase and then that set records. And at least at a halfway point to a record, you smell something's up and you adjust to it. And then if they still beat your double and triple teams, cool. We didn't adjust. We refused to adjust. And on offense, that's not the case. I've noticed Arthur Smith saying, oh, that's the case? We're going to throw quick on you. And then because I love Relic and all that, but watching the tape back, Micah Parsons, while he did have some sacks, he did not have a Micah Parsons game.
No, I don't think he did either. I didn't think so either, because that was one of the other things I wanted to bring up. We were talking about like positives and negatives. And when we came into the season, I won't speak for you, but I'll speak for myself. We came into the season, one of the things I was most worried about was our offensive line. I didn't think I really had to worry about this defense. I was really worried about our offensive line. And we've talked about them every week we do this show, and started off the season still pretty worried about them, not seeing what we needed to see. We felt like, thank God Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out quickly. And I'm not saying by any means they're perfect. I forget who you said it last week. You brought it up about how like they're not great. They're just finally like neutral where they should
be. Trey Essex said,
right? Fantastic. But I will say that they continue to surprise me and improve every week. So I pulled up Chris Carter or grades for the Steelers game this week because I wanted to see what he said about them. And he said, Faltana is becoming the most consistent of the Steelers offensive linemen in a positive way. He played a big role in the run game with solid and pass protection with 3 pressures, but allowed no sacks. It was an efficient day for the 4-time MVP. So Aaron Rodgers, was able to kind of be active behind this group. Then he brought up Zach Frazier, Broderick Jones, and Spencer Anderson and says Frazier gets extra points for battling through an injury and still performing well. I was really scared when I saw that he was like questionable for the game. His calf injury had him limping after every snap, but he still came through and helped the offense run the ball, had a decent night protecting Rodgers. Jones did allow a sack, but only one other pressure came from him, and he was a solid contributor in the run game.
Yes.
So I thought, and then Anderson did a decent job filling in for Sayamala, who was hurt. But Mike Frazier pointed out on Twitter about Broderick Jones for people that are still kind of ragging on him, the improvement he's made since week 1. He said he's setting his base better, clean kick slide, extending his arms to keep defenders out of his body, and rarely lunging anymore. And that's huge. I mean, if he'd done those 4 things like from week 1, like huge.
Yes. I'm really really impressed. I'm really glad you brought that up because the offensive line. I'm completely with you. Going into this, that was my biggest. A lot of people are like, "Oh, we need that other wide receiver two, all that." No. It was all about how would this offensive line protect Aaron Rodgers. And let me be very clear about this, just from someone who knows people who play football and has coached a little bit overseas. You only get this kind of improvement if the offensive line genuinely cares about what happens to that quarterback. More than just numbers and sacks. They want to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. It matters to them. It's a source of pride because I think Broderick Jones was on the verge of, I don't know if unsavable is the place you want to go, but after this season, if he wouldn't have found a way to turn it, and he needed something to maybe make him fall a little in love with football again. Yeah. Maybe that's the lackluster
word about him. Like, nobody wants to say this, but at the end of this season, are we going to be using the B word on Broderick Jones? And I think, and I think people were worried, lumping Fautanu right in with that. Like he had some moments that weren't great. He had the injuries. So then right away you're packaging them together, they're no good. And I think they've really redeemed themselves. I love that Joey's here. Hi,
Joey. Hey, Joey.
To hear what you think about this trade. I'm assuming you mean Kyle Duggar. So tell us what you think, Joe. We're curious.
Yep. If you're just joining the mid show, the Steelers made a trade for he's a safety and defensive back hybrid Kyle Duggar from the Patriots. We sent a 6th round pick and picked up his contract, which I don't have the details of it just yet.
It's a big contract, though, good size contract. So other than that, let's any other real positives? I thought Jaylen Warren had a good game. Do you know what I mean?
The running game.
I thought that it was interesting. There was a lot of people in this game that I felt like were like non-factors. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't necessarily doing anything wrong, but they weren't really doing anything great either. Do you know what I mean? So I felt like this was a game where we had a lot of people like that. It was nothing extra special from Cam Hayward. It was a good, solid performance where you at least weren't cussing him for a late penalty like we were with Nick Herbig. But
it's
that's exciting.
What I keep telling myself anytime I feel myself drifting to a dark place football-wise, I'm like, if you have to tell me in the preseason that at this point the defense would be what needs to improve, I would take that all day long. Because I trust the defense to improve over the offense having to catch up like we're always used to. However, I love Chris Boswell. We cannot get the field goals like we did when 3 field goals could easily have been 21 points and the game early there. Yeah. That's a situation against the Green Bay Packers that you cannot miss out.
Yeah.
So let's hope we learn that self-inflicted lesson because Chris Boswell will make it from anywhere you put it down, but sometimes you need that. Hey,
Joe's ready to sell the team, Bob. He's ready to sell them all, get rid of them all. Pathetic.
And by the way, if people are wondering, it's where's TJ Watt? He's out. We're not giving the offense any reason to shift the protection to the other side because Nick Herbig, our most effective pass rusher, is not on the field. Yeah. TJ Watt can't do it all on his own, and the reason things were working is because Nick Herbig was on the other side causing havoc.
Yeah.
Bring that back and it'll work again. So
here you go. Alan says the 2 teams will do the 6-7 pick swap that we mentioned earlier. Duggar was signed to a 4-year, $58 million deal just last year. That's a lot of money for the Steelers to pick up.
How old is Duggar? Does anyone know right off the bat? I'm trying to.
My head, but
I'm looking also now.
Says that the Seahawks are wanting to move off Rick Woolen. The Steelers should inquire. He's a great fit if the Steelers want to play more man. That's interesting. He's a cornerback, I believe.
That's 29. So he hasn't hit 30 yet. So that's a good contract for a just under 30 player. And I'm not, and he's a strong say. I'm not mad at that at all. That's
No, I like it. I like it. I hope Elliott. I was very glad to hear that it doesn't seem like Elliott's torn his ACL because that's a much
Yes.
longer recovery. So hopefully this is, looks like it'll be the rest of the season, but hopefully that brings him back for next year. So let's talk real quick. Anything else you need to get off your chest about Green Bay other than fuck that team, man? I hate them so much.
Yeah, I really wanted to beat them for so many reasons, but we don't.
Super Bowl, like, come on! I used to dominate Green Bay ever since that Super Bowl. They used to be the team. The Browns are this way for me too, where I'd be like, they're old school blue collar teams like the Steelers, like some of the earliest teams. Like, I love that. I love that their fans own the team. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, look, I'll never be the person that's like, I have a second favorite team, but like teams that I hate less than others. And Green Bay fell in that category until that Super Bowl.
They ruined
and now
it, right?
They're up there with like the Patriots.
Oh yeah, but my rule has always been: you beat us in the Super Bowl, I will never ever move away from hating you ever again. That is a team that no matter what.
Many teams that fall into that category, but yeah, Dallas.
And I am accepting of all people on this planet, but if you just happen to be from that city, we start out on uneven ground. I'm just being 100% honest.
Yeah, you better show up with birthday cake for me or something if you're coming from Green.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I'm ready to leave it behind and to say, listen, we're in a place that I'd prefer not to be, but we can easily turn it around, and I choose that rather than the gleeful dogpile of negativity that is going on right now.
Oof. Yeah, I had to just kind of separate myself from people on Twitter because they're just too angry. And I said it earlier. I totally respect and understand everybody's frustration. I really do. All right. So Sunday, November 2nd, the Steelers will take on the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts. That's hard to believe. It's a 1:00 game. I was already pretty worried about this game. I know you said you were too. Don't they have the running back, like the best running back?
Jonathan
Taylor, who I like him.
I know
this week, but yeah, I mean, this is rough. The crazy thing is that there is a part of me that feels like the Steelers will come back and they will win this game because this is the kind of stupid shit that we do. We will lose a game we are supposed to win, and we will win a game that everybody will be like, they're going to lose. So what do you think our odds are? We don't have to do a score prediction yet, but what do you think our odds are for this game this week?
I think if we go into it with a little humility, and I think the entire thing is, listen, we don't have to change much except for the fact that if stuff starts to go to hell, let's be willing to change. That's it. That should be it, because maybe your game plan wasn't terrible going in. You have to tweak a few things, because just imagine the beginning of that Bengals game. They go to Jamar Chase a few times, and then we clamp down on him. They don't get another pass to him for another quarter.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, things change. So just do that. That's all I'm asking. But the dangerous thing about the Colts is, and people might not like that I'm doing a Tomlin. I'm complimenting the opposition, but it's simply good football. It's go out and execute fundamentals, good blocking, not killing yourself with penalties. And that's, I hate to say, that's kind of the opposite of us right now. So I don't like that, but I do agree. It does feel like that game where we're going to come on the other end saying, goodness gracious, I don't know where that came from.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm just saying it would not surprise me. Like, is there a part of me that's like, is this going to be really hard and we won't win this game? Sure. But, Nathan says this is a Josh Downs game. He's a slot wide receiver for Indy. We've struggled with those types of players. It's true. We've also struggled historically with Indy in recent years for some weird reason. I don't know why. They're just one of those teams that we have a hard time with for some reason. I don't know what that is about them.
Just a little realism is all I ask. Go into this saying, listen, that's Jonathan Taylor. He is, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 consecutive games with 3 touchdowns, which is insane on the face of it.
Right.
So we know who to stop.
Right.
It's right there. That should be the entire focus. And if I know Daniel Jones is efficient, but he's efficient with Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
And that's easy to easy. I say he's like I can do it. NFL level easy to do.
Right.
Let's take away that running back and let's see how he does.
Yeah.
Ask him to beat us.
Yeah.
So
what do you think those conversations sound like around the Steelers defense right now? Like, to me, I agree with you. To me, look, I'm not saying it's simple, right? If it was simple, anybody could do it. And obviously none of us are. So, but I'll say this, like, it does feel like the adjustments weren't there, right? So if they went in at halftime and they came out and the defense was approaching that game differently, you would feel like, okay, maybe it didn't work, but they did something and tried, right? But it didn't feel like that in either of the past two games. So to me, you have to be game planning this week for Jonathan Taylor and this Indy offense that's been very successful. And I think that on top of that, you have to say, if we start with this package or this and it's not working, then we're going to have to do, switch it up, change it up, be ready to adjust on the fly to try to change. I don't know why we seem so resistant to that. Other teams do it.
Exactly. And if it is a coaching thing,
we're just not doing it now.
Exactly. And I don't know if it's a coaching thing or whatever. And I don't know how realistic what I'm about to say is, to be 100% honest, if this is even how it works on the NFL level. But there are a lot of veterans on this defense, and I think they all have to get together, maybe a players only thing, and say, listen, guys, if we get to that point and our coaches don't give us that message to tweak things, let's start doing those little tweaks on our own on that field. You notice that? Make a move in.
On them.
Exactly. And what's going to happen? Terrell Austin's going to bench his entire deal. I like it. I don't know how realistic that is, but at some point, this defense has to adjust, because I can't imagine as players they're content just seeing it happen, hearing a play come in. I've talked about this before during the Matt Kennedy years, how disheartening it is to have a play come in and go, that's not gonna work, but I gotta run this anyway. So same thing. I just some realism. That's all I want.
Yeah. Nathan said that Jonathan Taylor played Big Ten ball at Wisconsin. He was great. Yeah, fantastic college player. He's been fantastic, been better every year in the NFL. He said, I think the Steelers have to find ways to create pressure against a great Colts O-line. And that's, to me, this is it, this right where it hurts, right where we've been struggling. And so I'll say this. If we were sitting at 7-1 this week, if this was going the other way, I would say, holy cow, I'm worried that we're destined to lose a game pretty soon, right? Like, not many teams make it 8-1, so we're destined to lose a game at some point. So I hope that this is the game that the Colts are like destined to lose, and this is the game that we're destined to kind of get our act back together. So Zach, what is your score prediction?
Oh, goodness gracious!
Right. This is a hard one.
I'll be honest. I'd love for the Steelers to prove me wrong, but I can't see a blowout happening in our direction. I could probably see it happen in the other direction.
Yeah.
Knock on something. I will. You know what? I will say by a hair. 28-26 Steelers.
28-26.
For a fact that the one where we are similar, I will never ever go into a game believing we're going to lose.
I can't.
Why watch it? Why watch it then?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I had 27-24 for me, so very close to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think the Steelers will prevail. I think that our veteran defensive players, I think for, all of Relic's talk about how old everybody is, I think sometimes with age comes some wisdom. And so hopefully the Cams and TJs and, whoever else on that team, Cole Holcomb, guys that have some more experience can kind of, help rally the troops together this week and get people back lined up. I was going to say one more thing. When I was reading through like some of the grades, like Chris Carter and things like that, I talked earlier about some of those guys having like neutral games where they just weren't really making an impact one way or another. It did feel like there was a lot of players that were in that situation in this game, like Alex Highsmith, Derek Harmon, like it what Cam Hayward, like it wasn't their worst game, but it wasn't their best game. And then when you couple that with like the bonehead mistakes that Joey Porter Jr. made, like Nick Herbig's penalty, do you know what I mean? Like some of those things, you know, DK Metcalf's penalty, like when you factor in all of those things, like it does. And Slay, like, I don't know, have you seen that picture of him where he looks like he's laying in the air, like he's taking a nap and that pass is coming in? I mean, like you factor in all that stuff, it does feel like, you know, maybe it was bad timing for everybody. But if that's the case, then the Vets have got to get people's asses back in gear. Nathan says we have to bounce back, no excuses. Yeah, I agree, because it you know that if we lose this game, then what do those conversations start looking like for the rest of our season? Because, you know, other teams are just getting better. We're already seeing that, you know, we can't even beat the Bengals. So what's going to happen with the Ravens later this season?
And I want us to be the exception last week, because yesterday was a separation kind of week where you saw differences between teams. A lot of blowouts last week, a lot of uneven games. And I'd like to hope that our game was the exception, that ours is going to be used to keep going. Everyone's saying close games here. Yeah.
Vicky says 24-21.
And the interesting thing is, we haven't even I got to knock on something else. We haven't even talked about Tyler Warren, the standout rookie tight end. So we haven't. So it's kind of like stop Jonathan Taylor, plan A. While that's working, stop Tyler Warren, plan B. Then Daniel Jones has nothing. But which, by the way, I feel a little happy about that. Not that we're playing this week, but when the draft was happening, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, these teams are going to regret not drafting Tyler Warren higher than they're going to draft him. And him coming out as a young tight end, kind of like Heath Miller, and just exploding. I love that. Now, I don't want him to do that. One catch, 3 yards, 2 drops. That's what I want his stats to be.
Yeah, not this week, but other weeks, go ahead and take it to the house. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, one more comment. Nathan says the Ravens get Lamar back, and if we're not back on schedule soon, we could easily lose the AFC North. And that's I 100%. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I agree. It's my concern. I mean, we jumped out to this early lead, but that only helps if you can sustain it. We've seen it happen to other teams before, and we just can't be that team. So, knock on wood, man. You know, do whatever you have to do. Get my mom to sprinkle some holy water. Make sure you get your lucky shirts. If you usually sit on a certain cushion, like do all the luck things that you need to do this week, because we need all the help we can get. If you've joined us tonight, we really appreciate it. This was a good group watching the show tonight. It was a lot of fun, and we really do appreciate it. Please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, because it helps get us out there to other people. You can follow Zach and I both on Twitter and the show as well. If you're catching this after it was aired, then you can go ahead and drop us a comment. Let us know your score prediction. Let us know what you think was going wrong with the team last week and how you feel about the rest of the season. Thank you so much.
Leanne and Zach would like to thank you for tuning in to the Steel City Huddle podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.